Warning, programming is now legal. Welcome one and all. This is day 89 of 100 days of code. And let's just jump right into it. We have a very special guest. This name is known to you all. If not, you shall know it now. Leon Anderson, how are you doing?
Hello. The very special guest with a very special mentor is in it, like Italians. And I have to announce that I have nothing to announce today because I'm still in the preparations of getting closer to coding time abundance. So I asked Aleph if he could spit some wisdom for the Wisdom Gang. Maybe some short insight that at least there's a little bit of code contact for me and for the Wisdom Gang.
Yes, Wisdom Gang. Let's collect some wisdom. So, have you ever heard about either use, let's say, use memo or use callback?
No.
Okay, sweet. So we're gonna then only do the first one. So imagine this. Imagine you have a component, right? And you have some function, and that does a super complicated calculation. So for example, my super complicated calculation that, let's say, for example, takes in a number, and with this number, what it does is it creates an array, but it does something super slow, and maybe it like concatenates each letter in the array. So I'm going to write an arbitrarily complex function here. So let's say return array.from length, and then we just reduce over it, and we say, hey, accumulate at current. And we just say, let's do this, and we start with an empty string, and we say for each item we are going to take the accumulator and just add a letter, like hello, maybe like a string. Okay, we have something that if we put in a big number here, let's here. So if we put in a big number here, this is going to get super inefficient, right? Because we're first creating a huge array, and then we're reducing over it, and basically always appending hello to the accumulator for each element in the array. So far, so good? Okay. So, and let's say for some reason you need to use this inside of your component. A real use case could be something like, let's say you have a complicated aggregation or something, like a lot of data that goes into your app, and you don't want to, for some reasons, you cannot calculate the value on the server. You need to calculate it on the client. That's how you can end up with a super complicated calculation on your client. And normally what you would do is maybe you would say, okay, this thing here is used in a component. So for example, function or my complicated calculation component that as one of the props takes in the number, and then it returns the string that we get is from the complicated calculation. So we would say const my super complicated calculation to const string to render equals to my super complicated calculation of the number, and we put it here like this. And now we're going to use it in here. More super complicated calculation component with a number of, let's say, 1. So yeah, we get hello. Cool. So if this value changes, this calculation is being, or right now, whenever this component re-renders, we are recalculating this value, right? Which is not what we want. So we could say, okay, what if we, for example, combine const use state, like a value, set value with use state, value equals to use state, like this, and then we say use effect, like this, and we put in the number here, and then we say whenever the number changes, we set value to my super complicated calculation of the number, and instead we put the value here. That's you. So now we've made it. We've made it that whenever the number here changes, only then are we going to recalculate this value, right? But there's another problem here that when we do it this way, now it's a lot more efficient. Now we now whatever is rendered, as long as this number doesn't change, we're not doing this calculation again. But the different problem here is that when this number changes, the reference of the value is going to change, right? So you know that in JavaScript, the triple equals strings are always the same as long as that content is the same, right? But if we have two arrays, even if they are the same array, like this and this, they're not the same, right? So what if, in addition to preventing this recalculation, we also want to make sure that the reference to the object stays the same if the result is the same. And that is basically where use memo comes in. So this is a long preamble, but I wanted to first show you, like, use memo has rare use cases and a lot of people overuse it. That's why I first shown you, okay, this is a legitimate way to do a workaround for use memo. So what we could do instead is we could say const, like the string to render, that's how we called it before, is equal to use memo, and then it takes in a function and also takes an dependency area similar to use effect, and we can put in the number here, and we can simply say this should be the result of my super complicated calculation with the number like this. And now we put the string to render in here. So, and use memo now basically does exactly what we had before, but it can even keep the referential equality between renders. So that's why it's called use memo, and this technique is called memoization, because we're basically like you're writing a memo and you're putting it on your computer screen to remember stuff for tomorrow. This is called memoization, and use memo can memoize. I always want to avoid the R in that. Can memoize, just any constant, any value, array, string, whatever. And now this component never re-renders unless this number changes. It's very clean, elegant code, and referential equality is also guaranteed between renders. So let's make this maybe super long, like this. I mean, still not probably feelable. What about 10,000? That could be feelable. And now let's check our re-renders in here. Const value, set value with the use state, is state 0. And then we do like a little button in here. Button re-render, and we just say, hey, on click, we say set value v plus 1, like this, and we render the value. Keep. Oh my god, what's coding? Value. Okay. Cool. So now, even if we click here, it's super fast, right? But let's replace this. I hope this is a real life complicated calculation. Otherwise, we need to cheat a little bit. Const string to render equals to this. Now we stop the memoization with a now click. It's still as fast. Damn. Maybe we need to increase this number more. Wait, now it's slow.
Okay.
And we can do this. Let's wait for it to calculate. Or maybe it's too long. Oh yeah. Now it's too long in normal rendering. Okay. Well, I cannot come up with a client-side calculation that takes forever. Okay, let me stop here. This somewhat clear? Any questions?
I have a rough idea what this is about, but I guess I have to see it more in like specific examples and really differentiate it from use state. I mean, it's not you need use state additionally to that, right?
You in some cases you might, but this does not give you back an array where you take two things, right? You just have one value that it gives you back. It's not like use state where you get two things, and then you can change it with another thing. This is more like, hey, whenever the dependencies in here change, then re-execute this function right here.
But so it's similar to use effect, right?
Yes, but use effect does not give you a return value, right? In order to use use effect to calculate a value from scratch, we have to do the thing that we had here briefly. I'm going to just briefly write it again here. Set value, use state. Let's start with null, and then we say use effect like this, and we can say set value. And just put in the number and say, hey, whenever the number changes, wanna set it.
So where does the use memo return the value to?
To this, to whatever we put
to the
left.
const. Okay.
Yes,
so we
it is.
can't. So we so we can't find a variable inside of use effect.
Oh, say that again.
Can't we define a variable in use effect?
Can't we define a variable? Well, if we do something like let my thing here, right? We don't have access to it here because it's outside of the scope.
Okay. Okay. But why is but why do we have access to the scope of the use memo?
Because that's how use memo works internally. So the implementation of use memo fake is something along these lines. It's like it's taken a function and a dependency array, and with that function, it does something like return function, right? So it's returning the result of this function into whatever we get here.
Was it?
So, sorry, I think you led. Did you ask a question?
I asked if you asked a question.
No.
It returns a function.
Yeah, the result of a function.
I didn't hear you again. Sorry.
So use memo returns the result of the function that it receives as the first argument.
Got it. Got it. And where does it return it to? It returns it to the function that use memo is used inside of?
No, it returns it to the variable that we assign the return value of use memo to.
But then the component returns the string to render.
The component here at some point does just puts it in a paragraph in this example.
Yes. Got it. Yeah. Okay. I think I have a rough estimate, very rough understanding. But yeah.
Well, it'll prime you, and if you come across use memo again in the future, then maybe it'll help you to understand it a little bit faster, just because you've seen it already.
Yes, this is good for my subconscious to get some actual code, some React back again, and love it.
Exactly. Sweet. then that is it for today. Thank you everyone for watching. This has been day 89 of 100 Days of Code with
Leon Anderson and my special mentor, who is finally legal, Aleph Nil from 10xF. And in his own words,
Aleph Nil from
that's
Dev.
exactly. That's his true
Exactly.
name.
Yeah, that's that's what it says on my birth certificate.
The true self.
Bye.
Bye bye. Until